today's AMA with MWX, and we have Nanda here with us today to explore and explain the future of real-time crypto intelligence with MWX Alpha. And in today's AMA, we are going to cover the vision for these projects, the Alpha feed, the call, the tracking, the smart wallet tracker, everything about the ecosystem growth and roadmap. So, Nanda, with that, the first question I have is for you to introduce yourself and the team behind your project.
GM, everyone. Hope everyone is healthy and excited. Thank you very much for having me on this AMA, on your community. My name is Nanda Ivens. I'm the co-founder and CMO of MWX Alpha.
So how did you guys I'm just trying to ask about how you guys started the project. What was the inspiration? What really happened that made you guys gather as a team and say, okay, let's start this project, MWX?
Well, initially, we started a AI solution marketplace for small medium enterprise. Our vision was to sort of, help SMEs, and then we launched a token as part of that utility for the marketplace, and that's MWX Market .ai. But then, as we kind of progress through the project, we basically looked at the problems that we were having with our token. Influencers or KOLs were not being real. There was a lot of potential scam attacks on ourselves as well, and we had basically about 15 years of experience, running and developing social media intelligence. So our partner company, MediaWave, has been around in Indonesia for about 16 years now, and they were the first social media intelligence platform. So with our background in Web 2, Web 3, and also AI, we came up with the idea to create MWX Alpha, right? And that's how the project started, and that was literally 2 months ago, and we've been very excited to get this out to the market to everyone, crypto traders, because I don't think there's anything like it at this point in time. And I mean, you could say, well, Arkham is there, Nansen is there, GMGN is there, but you're looking at 8 different dashboards, right, when you're wanting to trade. And that's the sort of the problem that we had, as also some of our team were our traders, and they basically came forward and said, look, let's solve this problem. This is a big problem within the crypto trading community, and how do we solve it? And so we got our thinking hats on, and it basically from the brainstorm to actually coming up with a product and starting developing was probably less than 2 weeks, so and now we're on the verge. I think tomorrow is going to be the beta testing batch for people that had sign up to our whitelist, and also bought our mascot sticker on Telegram. And then we'll launch, hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone, please pray for us, at the end of the month. So I think, I honestly can't wait to get this platform out there and for all of you to try, because I think it's just going to be massive.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys are building something very solid. So if you carry through the momentum from now to the end of the month, there is no how you guys are not going to do something impressive, right? So it's just about carrying the same momentum, the same enthusiasm of the project. So with the kind of strong utilities you guys have currently, I think you guys are going to do great. So looking
Thank
next,
you.
I see you guys describe MWX Alpha as an alpha engine, not just like a usual dashboard aggregator. So what internal benchmark or outcome tells you the engine is actually generating actionable alpha versus just helping, users consume information faster?
Well, I mean, I think the benchmark isn't how much data did we surface. It's did the user act earlier or more correctly because of it, right? So, I mean, there are three internal measures that we do track. So, the first is signal to market latency, which basically means, how early our signal fires versus the eventual price move, right? And the second is signal traceability. Basically means, can a signal be tied back to a clean entry opportunity, and it's not just like a vibe, right? And then the third is pre-crowd window. So did the user have, let's say, time to act before the narrative becomes crowded, right? So the faster consumption is a side effect, right? So positioning the user to act earlier is the actual product. So I'll give you an example, like a use case, right? So we detected World Cup being called by 61 tracked KOLs, while the token was still around maybe the 30K market cap range. From that particular early KOL cluster signals, it ran into 3.8 million market cap range. The signal fired before the chart did, right? And that's the benchmark we hold ourselves to. So it's, again, as I said, not did we surface it, but did we surface it early enough that acting on it was actually meaningful. So a signal that arrives after the move is an alpha, it's news, right? So, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does. That creates, an insight to the kind of image you're positioning the project to be in the heart of, users. So the next question I have is, your website says crypto information asymmetry is structural and not accidental. So of all the components, that's including the speed, the credibility, the narrative interpretation, which of these components is genuinely the hardest, or should I say toughest to solve technically? And
Yeah, they're all hard. I don't think there's an easy way around it. But I mean, I think speed is the easiest piece. Lots of platform can ingest fast, right? But the hard part is the interpretation plus the credibility scoring, right? So you're separating real signals from noise, but you're separating the signal and noise quickly enough that which makes a difference. It matters, right? A trader doesn't need more data. I mean, they need ranked, scored, structured signals, and there is a confidence attached to that, right? And that's why MWX Alpha is built around ranking, clustering, and scoring layers, and it's not just about aggregation.
right, I kind of agree with your answers because there are a lot of other, you know, projects that have utilities that have a lot of data. So yes, credibility is something that these users will look at, compare with other projects that offer similar utilities to see which of them actually offer them more credibility. So you're definitely correct with that statement.
Yeah.
Okay, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to add on that question. I think as we go through the beta and then we get the feedback loop from the users, I think we'll find the issues issues, and we'll get the feedback from the beta testers, where we can, you know, increase and hopefully improve what we've already built, right? And I mean, that's the whole point of beta testing. But I think, you know, data credibility or you know, signal credibility is, as you mentioned, is very, very key to this. And we want to be 100% confident that, you know, we are going to be, you know, the go-to alpha intelligence platform that's out there.
True. And you know, a lot of these crypto tools, AI crypto tools, are very good at telling what is trending, but they are weak at identifying what will trend next. So, are there any specific patterns that give your own engine predictive trends rather than just reactive analysis?
Yeah, I mean, reactive tools wait for the chart to move, right? While predictive signals come from behavior before the price. So, I mean, there are basically three patterns that we kind of lean on. So the first one is you know, we're talking about velocity cluster on CT. So how fast does a narrative is being picked up, not how big is it yet, right? So you know, who's talking, you know, small early KOLs igniting a thread versus large account echoing one, you know, very, very different signals, right? So and the third would be, you know, smart wallet accumulation that, you know, aligns with the narrative timing. So if one of those is firing, then that's reactive. But if two or three converges, then it starts becoming predictive. I mean, that's the alpha window, essentially. So again, I want to talk in use cases as well, because I feel that that's necessary. You know, last week alone, our system flagged close to maybe 10 different tokens that each had 30 plus track KOLs calling them, calling them inside very tight time windows, captured very early before the broader CT picked any of them up, right? That's the kind of pattern reactive tool, misses. It misses completely, because by the time something looks trending, the KOL clusters already form hours earlier. So, you know, the signal is in the formation and not in the trend line. Do I make sense?
Yes, that definitely does. That was very explanatory, and I really appreciate your answers. And all of these things that you just explained is definitely backed by the intelligence layer. And I believe this narrative intelligence layer is one of the most ambitious part of the system. So how does MWX Alpha distinguish between a narrative that is genuine, emerging from organic source versus a coordinated campaign engineered to just, look like a momentum and just follow the trend?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually, because I mean, if we're looking at it empirically, sometimes we can't distinguish the difference. So we cross-check three layers, right? So, spread patterns across CT, which is the organic narratives that, organic narratives propagate unevenly. Coordinated ones, looks suspiciously uniform, right? Timing window, so natural narrative build over hours, coordinated ones spike inside very tight windows. So it just goes bam, up and down, right? And then smart wallet behavior as well. Is on-chain accumulation actually supporting the narrative, or is it just talk, right? So we don't trust a tweet alone. So every narrative signal gets validated against behavior on at least one other layer, right?
Great, great. And your answer just now just mentioned the smart wallet tracking, right? So, this this smart wallet tracking also has to deal with, you identifying the ones that are just randomly lucky. So how do you distinguish between a wallet that is genuinely informed versus one that is just temporarily profitable when it comes to this copy trading intelligence and accumulation of pattern detection rather?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's yeah, that's a bit of a hard question actually. Let me think about that quickly. So hmm, how would I answer that?
Okay.
Yeah, can you reframe the question and sort of like repeat it back to me because I didn't quite get all of it.
Okay, that's fine. We are still going to move to that part of the question. So before we still get to that part of it, let's just go into the core credibility aspect of the project. So, one of the strongest ideas that the team or the website is making us understand is turning core credibility into a measurable performance layer and not just
Hmm.
influence. So what happens when a call quietly deletes their failed calls or reactively reframes a narrative after the market reacts?
We um, we don't really rely on the live timeline, right? So I mean, we I think I mean we kind of take historical snapshots. So for example, if you as a KOL, has made a call inside our tracked universe, right? So and that call is permanently in our records, regardless what happens to the tweet later. The result, the the KOL's real performance, history is already visible to MWX Alpha user. I mean, not their curated one, right? So so if I post it, I mean, I'm not a KOL, but if I post it today and then it turns out that, let's say, uh, the token is rugged, for example, right? And but I've already posted it, and then the fact of the matter is already rugged, and it's already the token's already rugged, but it's already identified within our system that I've tweeted that, right? That call. So I guess, like, you know, uh, this 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 is one feature traders react to fastest in demos, because everyone in the room has been on the wrong side of a of a deleted call, right? And again, I'll give you an example. Um, we tracked an account, finished number one with an average performance roughly like 1,000x across the calls that he's made on X. Um, three of those calls each went up hundreds to thousands of times in the market cap from the moment he posted them publicly. And the point here isn't to go follow this guy, but the point is that that performance is now visible, ranked, and auditable inside MWX Alpha, and including the misses as well, right? So the KOL's credibility stops being a vibe; it becomes a number that you can sort by, if you know what I mean.
Definitely, definitely, I understand. Thanks for that expressive answer. So now, still on this aspect of these calls, right? So these some of these calls move price naturally just because of audience size, especially in lower liquidity assets. But does NWX Alpha separates predictive accuracy from self-fulfilling influence power? Because these are very different form of edge.
Yeah, these, yeah, those are very different. Yes, I mean, these are scored as two distinct weights, right? So, predictive accuracy is how often a KOL calls and have actually outperformed, controlling, for size. Um, and influence power would be sort of the price impact their calls produce, simply due to the reach, right? So a trader using MWX Alpha can read both the signals separately. And sometimes you want to ride the influence, sometimes you want to follow accuracy. They're not the same trade, right? I know, for example, I noticed today that there was a KOL that was, this person was quite high up on the leaderboard, and but the fact of the matter is, the one that he's, that person is, the KOL is associated to, the token that he's associated to, is actually the one that he's called against. So he's saying that that particular token is a potential rug, it's a potential scam, right? But and these are the things that we need to fix as well, because unless you go into the content of the KOL, you won't actually understand that he's actually calling it as a negative versus a positive, and that's something that obviously we need to work on, and we need to communicate that to our users as well, because I think that's again, it's the influence power versus predictive accuracy, right? And I think that's, I'm just being honest here. I think it's going to take multiple iteration and improvements within the platform to get it really perfect, but technology moves at a very fast pace, so we could address those issues very quickly as well.
Right. Now, this pushes us to the question I asked previously about the smart wallet tracking layer. So this smart wallet tracking layer suggests copy trading intelligence and accumulation pattern detection. So how do you distinguish between a wallet that is genuinely informed versus one that's just lucky or maybe temporarily profitable?
Yeah, I had to ask the team just now about this, because you mentioned it earlier, so I was kind of stumped by the question. But I think PNL alone is probably the weakest signal, right? So anyone can be up in a bull market, but we weigh three things heavier than actual profit. So consistency over time. For example, performance across multiple cycles, not just one particular win. Entry timing quality, right? So are they consistently early or late, or they're just lucky, right? And behavioral pattern stability. So does the wallet show repeatable strategy, or is it a one-off hit, right? The wallets we track are those that have multiplied capital repeatedly across different conditions, and that earn our attention, and so we know it's not like sort of like a lottery win, right? So tracking the right wallet is the most expensive education in crypto. And we've already done that part, right, for our users.
Great. Thank you so much for helping us go through that, part, because that's a very important thing that every user of the platform, or if who's listening right now, would want to know. So moving over
Yeah.
to the, the trust and vision of the project, a real concern that every, most listeners here will have with any alpha platform is, if this works, eventually too many users get the same signal at the same time, and this could cause the edge to collapse. So how does MWX Alpha avoid becoming its own crowded alpha?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the answer isn't really hide signals from users, right? That obviously defeats the purpose. The answer is probably, deliver signals as early as possible within the cycle. Not the final fully cooked signal, right? So, MWX Alpha is designed to get you in before the trade is crowded, if you know what I mean. So, you know, not to alert you when it's already is there, right? So, you know, that's why early narrative detection, micro narrative tracking, pre-listing intelligence, you know, matter more than trending now alerts. You know, I mean, those are very reactive layers, as we discussed, earlier on.
Yeah, I think that's very important to note out. So yeah, I agree. So moving on to the next, I see the user interface is built for speed, like we mentioned earlier on. But other
Yeah.
things such as intelligence, the fast scoring, the push delivery, and these are very important components. So, but how will the team balance signal speaks of users over trading or just reacting blindly to AI generated summaries without context?
Well, I mean, you know, with everything, I think I would say to traders, do your own research, right? But I mean, this is something we think a lot about. I mean, speed is the value, but without speed, uh, but speed without context is also very dangerous, right? So there are three operational choices that we made, right? MWX Alpha surfaces signals with evidence, on-chain data, social metrics, KOL cluster. Um, I mean, we don't really say, and we never will say, buy this type of thing, right? Because that's that's just dangerous. Every alert carries a signal strength score, so users can filter rather than react to everything equally, right? Your do your own research is built into the experience. We give you better inputs. Your judgment is still required. I mean, I cannot drum that home enough because I think that's really important. I've spent days on the platform, and trying to find the best way of kind of looking at it, and our team as well. And I think at the end of the day, it is do your own research, right? And you have to kind of you know you have to go deep into it, right, rather than just kind of taking it face value. And I mean, it's the same with all the other platforms. So our job is to remove that 10 tab research process that you guys as traders usually do. But we're not here to replace your trader's instinct, right? And that's still, very crucial in terms of, having that instinct to trade.
Right. I totally agree because even on here when we have AMAs with even great projects that have good utilities, we say do your own research, not giving financial advice. But I think the good thing about your the platform and the utilities you guys are offering is you have definitely already given the signals, you've given the evidence, you've given the strengths, and so it's just left for the user to then do their own job to research about these signals that they have received rather than saying buy this or buy that. So I definitely agree with that. um the next question I have is the AI trading and analytics space is getting crowded fast. This is something that everyone is seeing. So what long-term strategy have you guys implemented, to stay relevant after this initial hype cycle? And how does the GoldDiggers community, how can we get involved with this early access?
Yeah, yeah, that's the exciting part. I mean, we don't want MWX Alpha to be just another tool. We want it to be the default layer where, serious crypto users um, go first for actionable alpha, right? The same way traders default to certain charting tools without thinking. So the roadmap is is, we want to have deeper integration across, surfaces, web, Telegram bot, mini app, which will be launching during launch, and upcoming security center, deep research module that combines on-chain, social, and security in one report. So, you stop opening, 30 tabs per token, essentially, because I think that's where our initial problem hypothesis came about, is that every time I want to, or we want to trade as traders, and we do our research, our whole desktop is just filled with tabs opening, just to find out whether this thing has the potential to be a scam or not, right? So, but to your second part of the question, I mean, right now early access is open, and the fastest way for GoldDigger members to get in is to register yourself on MWXalpha.com, and for whitelist. So the whitelist gives access for beta tests and one month free pro access, right? And beta access users can help us shape the product directly, right? So we'll have a feedback loop. We'll have a closed group on Telegram as well for the beta access and the beta testers. So you guys can give your comments, your criticism, constructive criticism, hopefully, to us directly, so we can quickly improve the product. So I guess if you spend your day inside CT, watching wallets, chasing narratives, MWX Alpha is built for exactly your workflow. So I mean, I would say for everybody listening now, I hope you can join our whitelist and decide later.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting one. So I think the last question I have right now is for traders here who are listening right now, who want to actually try MWX Alpha after tonight, how can they get in, and is there any cost attached?
So right now, free beta access via the whitelist. So anyone can register at mwxalpha.com and to join the beta, get your hands on the product while it's still being shaped, obviously. And I think this evening I'm having a call with the team to find out whether the beta is going to be sometime this week, and then also beta users get 1 month free pro access. So there's no extra steps on that, and at the moment the community, we've already got about 20,000 whitelists and still growing. But post the trial pricing, post the trial, the pricing is very simple, right? So we ask you to so there's the plus tier, which is $39 a month, and then the pro tier is $69 a month, and you can get a 30% off either tier by locking 1,000 MWXT, our token, right? Which you can buy at Bitmart and MEXC, or several DEX as well, right? So our price points are extremely reasonable, even in comparison to any other single dashboard intelligence platform out there. While you're basically getting 5 for 1, plus we also provide you with the Telegram mini app, and also the Telegram bot a signal push as well, right?
Great. So I'm sure everyone have gotten an insight on how they can grab this opportunity to join MWX Alpha right now while it's still early. So these are the questions I have for you, Nanda.
Thank you
But
so much.
we would definitely be taking questions from the community. I don't know if you're open to that.
Sure, maybe just a couple of questions. It's getting quite late here in Jakarta, and
Yeah,
I'm quite
but
old.
we are just around 40 minutes into the section, so just about 10 to 15 minutes more. So guys,
Sure,
please
sure.
keep it very simple, go straight to the point, and please don't ask more than one question so we can keep it open for more persons to ask. So first, let's have Habibi, you can grab your question, please.
Okay, thank you, Moonshine. So my question is on long-term tokens sustainability. You guys brushed on it, but I want clear answers. MWX tokens includes bonds, staking, discounts, and buybacks. But beyond token mechanics, what will create consistent long-term demand for the token as the ecosystem grows?
So you're talking about the MWXT token, yeah? So yeah, I think there's two parts to this, right? So we've got at the moment, our company has two different platforms now. We've got the marketplace, and then we've also got Alpha, right? So the marketplace, in terms of the AI marketplace, as you know, you've probably read up on it on the white paper. You also mentioned about the swap and burn mechanics, and the buyback as well for MWX market. So and so we're doing the exact same thing. So that is the core layer for the token in terms of its utility. MWX Alpha is exactly the same as well. So I mean, this is why we're asking people if they want to get the 30% discount, right? And it's in perpetual, right? So for as long as you're locking 1,000 MWXT, right, you will get 30% discount from the listed price of MWX Alpha, right? And we're also doing the same thing with the token with respect to MWX market, which is burn still happening, swap is still happening from sort of 20% burn from the profit, 15% buyback, and also swapping. So it gives that long-term sustainability for the token as well. And we're not stopping at alpha, right? So within we launched MWX market in late October, and now it's May, and we're about to launch another platform. So we might be launching another platform before the end of the year, right? So again, everything is going to connect back into the token. And the reality of it is what we're building within the MWX company is that we're trying to solve everyday problem from both Web 2, Web 3, and AI, right? So it's kind of a convergence, but the token is the glue that binds everything together, right? So I think that would be my answer to your question, Habibi.
Thank you very much. That was a very clear answer. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Happy B, for pointing that question out, because I think we didn't really deliberate on the token itself. So that kind of gave a coverage about the token metrics and all of that. So a question from the chat came in while I was going through. Jacqueline sent a question saying many AI blockchain projects struggle to move from concept to real world execution. So what is like the challenge, operational challenge MWX expect to face when onboarding traditional SMEs into a decentralized AI ecosystem?
Well, that's a very good question. Although we're talking about alpha, but I will answer that because I think it's related to the token, obviously, and I appreciate the question. I think onboarding SMEs is been very, very tough, right? Because with let's say you're in a developing continent, developing country. A lot of SMEs are potentially, they're not thinking about growing their business. They're thinking about making money so that they can live, right? And for them to be able to purchase an AI solution, it needs to be two things. It needs to be affordable, right? So it's not really going to hurt their wallet. And the second is that the benefit versus the cost is going to be greater, right? And the third is that it has to be very simple to use. So just to be honest, it's been very painful in terms of onboarding SMEs. And so it's not something that I would take lightly. If you want to go down that route in terms of creating a startup, you need to have a lot of strength and a lot of patience to do it. So we've gone sort of the other route, whereby we have partnered with government institutions in different parts, in Indonesia and in different parts of the world as well. And we onboarded them through the government, right? So, any associations, government institutions, ministries. For example, we are partners with, the Ministry of SMEs in Indonesia. We're also partnered with banks, which has SME clients. We're partnered with, several other companies as well, and association, which has an agenda to enable SMEs, right? And so, we are kind of taking their existing database, and we're educating them. So one of the things that we've done is we created an MWX Academy, which is essentially a platform where you can learn about AI and you can learn to use the AI solutions that we have created for the SMEs. So yeah, it's not to be taken lightly. And at the moment, I don't have any hair left because of that. So just a little joke there, guys. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it was a text question, so I hope, Jacqueline, that answers your question. If you still have further, questions to ask into the answer he gave, you can just go to the Telegram channel to ask whatever question you have, and I'm sure the team will be willing to answer your questions. So let's take one live question.
Sure.
Anderson, you can go ahead with your question.
Hi, Moonshine. Hi, Nanda.
Hi, Anderson.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So, I do have a question. It is like clear evidence that crypto is moving towards, the AI plus on-chain intelligence era. So I was kind of thinking, does MWX Alpha envision evolving from just an alpha feed into a full decision-making ecosystem, such as predictive analysis, autonomous trading assistance, or cross-chain behavioral intelligence?
That's an incredible question, actually, and it was funny you asked that question, because we just discussed that this afternoon, the team and I, and we were sitting there like scratching. Yeah, we were scratching our heads. We're like, oh, I'm sorry, I was about to say a bad word, but I was like, oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing if we could do that? And then we started drawing it on the whiteboard, but I think I think there are so many issues, for example, with concerns with sort of like licensing, regulatory in different countries. I mean, you know, our company is based in Dubai, although you know our team is you know, part of our team is sitting in Indonesia, but you know, I think you know, a lot of countries at the moment are waking up to the realities of crypto. So there is a sense that, you know, a lot of governments are actually trying to, you know, over-regulate crypto. I mean, I was the CMO for one of the largest crypto exchange in Indonesia a few years ago. I mean, you know, it started in 2020, and I left after it was acquired by Binance. And the thing was that I experienced, even within the checks side of things, was that it was overregulated, right? So there was, and now it's even more overregulated than what it was a few years ago. So, and I think a lot of countries are waking up to this. You know, you're looking at, you know, a lot of the European countries, a lot of the Asian countries, they are starting to regulate, and they are actually being very, very, very stringent about their laws and regulation regarding crypto. So if we were to go down that route and all the way to a point where you can click on a token, and you know, on that signal immediately buy it on a DEX or a checks, you know, wouldn't that be something? Right, Anderson, it would be incredible. And you know, having, you know, a predictive bots and everything like that in you know, in its full ecosystem. But it could be in our roadmap in the future, but I'm not promising anything, because I think it's a mountain to climb. But I do appreciate that, and it's you know, there's no such thing as a coincidence, and we were just literally having that conversation this afternoon about what you just asked. So you know, fingers crossed, pray for us, and hopefully we'll find some lines of collaboration, maybe with other and partnerships with other platforms that we could bring that to reality. So yes, thank you for that question, Anderson. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, and that's definitely a great answer. And I honestly do see the vision behind this one, so I'll be keeping a close eye on it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a great one. And let's say thank you also for bringing out that question. And it brought a whole new perspective to about what the project is trying to bring, the vision is trying to bring in the minds of users. So I know, Nanda, you mentioned it's getting late over there. We've been able to get some questions, though I can see a lot of hands up and a lot of questions in the chat. But I want to be very considerate and saying that we also are getting to our time mark for these AMA. So I'll be bringing the AMA to a close, and we'll definitely still be looking through the questions to see the best questions and pick more persons after, you know, discussing with the team. So Nanda, before I close down the VC, I'll give you the chance to give your final words, but I just want to mention, guys, that you know, MWX Alpha is having their white list. So those who have early access to this, and not just that, GoldDiggers is getting their own special special link that every listener here who wants to get access to MWX Alpha can just tap on the GoldDiggers special link and get early access. So the team will be posting that after AMA. So be on the watch out on the group. So with that, Nanda, do you have any final concluding statements to do?
Well, I'm sorry I can't answer all your questions, but I see Solo, Benki's, North, Jolayog. You know, please DM me, ask your questions, and I will do my best to answer it. And I thank everyone, all the listeners that's participated tonight for you know, listening to our AMA, and hopefully, you know, a lot of questions are being answered. And yeah, I think I think we could really, MWX Alpha can really help a lot of degens, trenchers, traders, out there, and hopefully this will be a very, very useful and beneficial and profitable tool for everyone. So as Moonshine said, please join the whitelist, and we'll treat you, in the best possible way. So yes, thank you so much for having me, and good evening, everyone.
Yeah, have a great night, Nanda. And thank you all so much for joining. It was really a great section with MWX Alpha. See you guys in the next AMA, which will be tomorrow. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.